It's Friday, March 11th, coming up on an all-new View. A controversial mom who left her young children behind to focus on a career overseas and then divorced her husband when she got back is telling you why she chose her job over her family. Then, Peak World star Sarah Silverman's revealing how she's preparing to bear it all on the big screen and who she thinks is winning the final rose on The Bachelor. Plus, ABC World News weekend anchor David Muir challenged a family to clear out their house and fill it with products only made in America. So find out why it was harder than they thought and how the whole country would change if we all followed their lead. Then, if you've ever looked at a priceless masterpiece and thought, my kid can draw better than that, an art expert is unveiling what makes a work of art and seeing if the co-hosts know one when they see it. All that, hot topics and more, coming up on The View.
Welcome to The View. Sherry, there's a new study out that I hear you're very excited about. Why is that?
Yeah, because, you know, I keep talking about wanting to have another baby. And this survey came out on MSNBC, and it says, does having kids make you happier? Only if you're over 40, which is really exciting to hear that, the fact, there we go, the 40 years are coming up. The fact that it's all right, you know, after 40 to have a baby. You know you're giving up certain things at this age when you have a child, especially career-wise.
Yeah, is it about actually having the baby, or at the point of 40, you're happier with children than you were, say, when they were toddlers? Because another study also said that parents of toddlers were the most, in one study, the most unhappy. Well, and then as they grew, as they got older, you became more happy.
Well, older mothers and older fathers, there are a lot of older fathers now, they're very happy up until the day someone thinks it's their grandchild. You know, and then it all go. But when you are older, you are economically in a better shape. It also says that if you've graduated from a university, you'll have an easier time having children when you're young. And you have fulfilled yourself in some ways professionally so that you don't have the struggles. And again, you got more money than when you're, you know, 19, 20, 21. It's tough.
Right, but after 40, you know that you want the child. There's no,
you really do, and it's
very hard to have an accident after 40.
It's so hard, girl.
I don't know.
It is
no,
after 40 to have an accident.
Sometimes if you sneeze the wrong way, you have an accident.
But you also You also know it's not bad.
Just saying.
That accident.
I'm just saying.
You just don't have the stresses, I don't think.
Huh? Different kind of accident.
Yes. Well, see, I commend you if you're going to have a baby after 40 because, you know, they are not easy to run after. And the reason I'm glad I had my kid early was because I had the energy to give her for what she needed. Because, you know, they don't care that you're tired. They're like, vroom, 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 vroom. And you're like, please sit down.
Right.
They just...
Yeah, but after 40, you may have a little money to have a babysitter.
Yeah, but see,
maybe you're better. Maybe then you're better at having, I don't know, because I almost feel like with toddlers, mark my words now, I almost feel like I'm in 3 very irrational relationships at all times, you know?
Yes. You don't stress about it. There's times when, like, my family comes down on me because I'm not as hard on Jeffrey as they might be. But, you know, when at this age, I don't stress over certain things because I know you're not dead, you're fine. So things that he says, like we talked about, I laugh. And so when he goes, I'm not talking to so-and-so, I'm talking to you, Mommy. And I'm just like, that is the funniest thing I've heard in my life.
Until he says something that you don't like.
But I always know I'm in control. I always know how to rein, how to, you know,
Okay, but
I'm never not in control.
We'll wish you luck and we'll wait. How old are you now?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Fine enough to have a baby, right?
Read any magazine.
Just maybe you should know about this, because Parenting Magazine compiled a list of 20 things moms should never feel guilty about. One was wanting to stay home with the baby, and another was loving your job. That's a pretty good thing.
Yeah.
What else shouldn't moms feel guilty about?
Number 20. Women. Number 20.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Driving your baby home from the mall with the poop in its diaper because the bathroom is all the way at the other end of the mall. Ooh. I have done that, and I think Isaiah liked it. I think that he did not want to get changed. Ooh. He was perfectly content, and I'm refusing to also feel guilty for doing that one time.
Okay. What about this one? This one shocks me. Lying to the other woman. Lying to the other women in your mommy group. I didn't know they had mommy groups.
Yeah, they have mommy and me.
One of them, I remember, I don't have it on the list, was not wanting to go on a play date because the mommy has crystal on her table and toilet paper in the rack, and her little toddler doesn't touch it the way my toddler does. So that you feel guilty about.
I stressed out over that one.
Well, and lying to other women in your mommy group about how long your baby sleeps at night.
That is really lame. Who feels guilty about that? That's
because some
crazy.
people, you know, you feel a little good because they go, oh, mine sleeps all through the night.
They're lying.
Yeah.
They're lying. They're all lying.
Yeah.
I think the number one way for young mothers not to feel guilty is to stay away from your mother-in-law.
Probably.
And you'll feel less guilty.
Stay away from the mother-in-law?
Oh, sorry. Oops.
No. My daughter had a baby.
No, you're the mother. You're not the mother-in-law.
You know how it takes a village? It totally takes a village.
Yes.
I mean, Steve walks the dogs. I do her laundry. We send out for Chinese. I mean, everybody does. No, not for Luca, not the baby yet. But for everybody. I mean, everybody pitches in. There's a lot to do. You really need a lot of people to raise a baby.
Folks should be really, you know, happy when they have someone in their family who's willing to do that, because so many women are out there with nobody.
It's terrible.
You know, it's really rough.
And remember, they get out of the feet pajamas, and when they get a little older, the older they get, gets tougher. They don't.
Everybody wants a baby. Nobody wants a teenager. Is that your point?
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Not want a teenager. You all know that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And if you're like me, wait a minute. Wait, I'm being told Honey Bunches of Oats has some exciting news.
Yes, sorry to interrupt you, Sherry, but we are just informed now that Honey Bunches of Oats has come out with its new Raisin Medley. This makes Honey Bunches of Oats Raisin Medley the only cereal with 3 different kinds of plump, yummy raisins and a multi-grain flakes. And since Honey Bunches of Oats has 9 essential vitamins and minerals and 12 grams of whole grain, I'd say Honey Bunches of Oats is raising the bar. We go now back to the Hot Topics table, and Sherry Shepherd already in progress.
Wow, that is exciting news. And I have a follow-up item for all you raisin lovers. Members of our studio audience are taking home a year's supply of Honey Bunches of Oats cereal!
For choosing her career over her family.
Our next guest was a married mother of 2 young children when she went to Japan to pursue her career. Once there, she realized she didn't want to be a wife or a full-time mother anymore. And she reveals why in a book generating a firestorm of controversy, Hiroshima in the Morning. Please welcome Rana Reiko Rizzuto.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
So, Reiko, at the time you were married, you were living in Brooklyn. You had 2 boys. They were 3 and 5 years old when you went to Japan on a 6-month fellowship to do research on the survivors of the atomic bomb. Now, before you left to go over to Japan, what was your home life like? Did you like being a mom?
I was a perfect mother. I really was. I had these 2 little boys, and I was a stay-at-home mom. I made my homemade baby food, and I was married to my childhood sweetheart.
But you were also going to go away for 6 months.
I was going to go away for 6 months. You know, I'm a writer, and for a long time I've been studying sort of my family history and heritage, and I got this great opportunity to go to Hiroshima and talk to the atomic bomb survivors.
Leave your children.
And leave my children.
For 6 months.
For what turned out to be 4 months, because they came to visit, yes.
So for 4 months you didn't see your children?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And they were how old at that time?
They were 3 and 5.
3 and 5.
Okay, and you said that at that time, when you were doing the 6-month period, you realized you didn't really want to be a mother.
You know, I never really wanted to be a mother. I had this idea about motherhood that it was going to like take me over and swallow me up, and my husband really did, and it was a struggle.
Wanted children, you didn't.
He absolutely wanted children, and then what do? Do you say, well, I'm sorry, you can't have this thing that you want? So I thought, we would try, and he agreed to be a primary caretaker, and so that was kind of our deal.
When you came back,
But wait a minute, let me just follow up there, because you're right, in all those years when you didn't want to be a mother, it was partly because I didn't want to be my mother. Explain that.
She was perfect. She was always there for us. I had absolutely no idea of her as a woman. And you know, it was great to be a kid, but then at a certain point, I needed to know how to be a woman and be a mother. And by that time, she wasn't there for me anymore because she was, she had Alzheimer's. And so I wasn't able to find that out, how to give myself some priority. You know, I'm not saying, you know, that I have to be number one, but that there's equality.
How old were you?
How old was I
then?
When I left, I was 37.
37.
I see. So it's not the way we were talking earlier that you had children too young.
I had children when I was 33. It took us a really long time to decide.
And you really never wanted them.
I didn't want to be a mother, no.
But it came, that revelation came after having the separation and being able to come back and make changes. So you decided that that wasn't going to be as it was when you left. And you also ended up divorcing your husband, correct?
Right.
Now, was it, I don't want to be a wife and a mother, or was there disappointment in your revelation on his part and that caused a break in the relationship?
I think there were two parallel things going on. I mean, I think I didn't want to be a mother, and then when I had a chance to go away, I realized that I had done exactly what I was afraid of doing for 5 years, and I kind of had this wonderful opportunity where I was doing my research and I was having a wonderful time, and at the same time, you know, we were together since I was 17, and we were one person, and we were shocked actually to find out how fast that broke.
Did you miss the kids when you? You know, because if you take a girls' weekend or whatever, you go away. I think a lot of moms feel this way, right? I need a break. I need to get away. You go away. You feel like, oh, this is great. We're just here by ourselves, and then all of a sudden that feeling comes back when you say, oh, I've got to get back. We've got to make lunch for the next day. I miss being in that role. That didn't come to you.
It came to me from time to time. I missed my kids. I didn't miss when they were throwing up 7 times in the middle of the night, and I got a call saying, "Can you wash pillows?" I was like, "Okay, that's fine. You can wash pillows."
When you came back to your children after this 4 months, these were children you didn't want, and they now know, they're now 13 and 15, that you didn't want them, don't they?
We've talked about this. I think that they get it, that I didn't want to be a mother. It's not that I didn't want them, and
Is it hard to come back to children as you did after 4 months when you don't love them or want them?
Oh, I did love them.
I love them.
You don't want them. You didn't want to be their mother.
I didn't want to be a full-time mom, and actually
the role, not the specifics.
It was the role, and I love my kids. I have a great relationship with them now, and in fact, I think one of the things that happened was because we got a divorce and because he had always wanted to be the primary caretaker, it worked for our family that they stayed in their home, they lived with their dad. I'm the one who moved down the street. We really made it work. And then I get to give them my best. I get to see them every other day.
This kind of story that a woman gives, that you're giving us, is as a female, you're more stigmatized than a man. If a man were telling this story, it wouldn't even be a conversation point.
Absolutely. People ask me, you know, how could you leave your children? How could you leave your children? Like they're on the side of the road somewhere.
Well, this is great. Did you ever see the movie Kramer versus Kramer? It reminds me of that story.
You had a structure to reorganize your life. You had your husband who was willing to be partake really fully.
Absolutely.
So
I was lucky.
I'm sorry. Were you gonna? Was he surprised at this?
I think he was sad. I think you know, he wanted the life that we had built, and it wasn't working. And I think we were both sad. You know, divorce is a hard thing, but I think he gets it, and he has been a good dad, and he has supported me. You know,
we're hearing more and more of this now. Not necessarily mothers who leave their children for 4 months. And we were talking about it earlier, but mothers who go away because of career, or mothers who work from 7 in the morning till 7 at night. And I think the major thing is, though, that you had children when you really didn't want them. And it's a message for people. I guess if you don't want children, don't have them.
But you didn't leave.
I didn't. That's the thing.
What I can't see is, you've lost friends over this. People have sent you death threats.
Absolutely. I'm worse than Hitler, apparently.
And then what do you say? How do you respond to people who say you are selfish for doing this?
You know, everybody has their own choices, but my choice works for us, and I think it's not so selfish for women to say, okay, I would like to have my own priority. I would like to have something in my life. I would like to be able to do my job.
People have a very hard time with. I mean, that's what Barbara and I were talking about, because I got an opportunity too and chose it. And people really do kick your butt. You know?
I've had a lot of women write to me and say, thank you for telling your story. You know, they may not have the exact same story, but they've been ambivalent. They've struggled. And even the best mothers don't always
a lot of
like
accidents. Children come into the world, you didn't want them, they came.
Exactly.
That happens a lot.
Thank you so much. You stepped outside of the traditional way we think. Members of our audience are taking home a copy of Hiroshima in the Morning. We'll be right back with Sarah Silverman.
Bestseller about wetting the bed and watched her win an Emmy for sleeping with Matt Damon. Now she's showing what she's got on the big screen in the comedy Peep World. Please welcome Sarah Silverman.
Hey, girl.
Okay, first of all, we're always excited when you're here, but I hear you're as obsessed with The Bachelor as I am, and so let's discuss.
I'm not proud of it.
No, neither am I, but it's okay to just let it all out
It
now.
makes me cry. I don't know why. The heart just wants what it wants, I guess. But, you know, it should honestly, it should have a warning at the beginning for young girls. Like, this is not appropriate behavior. Do not grow up to be this way.
That's right. That's right.
It's so pathetic. You know, they've got these... First of all, they go on these group dates with like 10 women, and they're all excited. He took us to a castle. No, producers procured a castle. He has nothing to do with it, and there's 10 of you. That's how special you aren't. They're wearing these prom dresses in every scene. It's like embarrassing.
But what about the fact that Brad decides that he's going to make up his own rules during the show? He knows there's protocol about rose ceremonies. We're going to have lunch over this and discuss. Finale coming up on Monday.
I'm sorry, but Brad is such a zero. He doesn't deserve Emily. Emily is the first bachelorette that I'm dazzled by because she doesn't look like she wants to be a celebrity. She's just innocent and like, maybe I'll find love on this contest. You know what I mean? Like, she's so pure.
She is. She's
and I
sweet.
love her so much. He doesn't deserve her. She should be the next bachelorette.
She probably will be.
I think she will be.
She probably will be. Now, I hear
money's on her.
your father is 73 years old, Sarah, and he has a Twitter account. 13,000 people follow your dad, and his Twitter name is Rants from Boca. And he's got the neighbors riled up. Why?
First of all he does is crap on rich people because he lives very simply, he drives his Prius, he wears a Target employee shirt. He had to wear like a suit for a wedding and gets it at the Salvation Army. He lives very
frugal,
which I love. It's not that he's cheap, he doesn't, you know, he's like, my Timex tells time just as good as their Rolex. He's been punched in the face 3 years in a row in Boca.
Who's hitting him?
He heckles people. I think I've said this before, but like
Rich people are heckling your dad.
No, the other way around. Like, he'll sit at Starbucks. I know I've told the story, but someone will drive up and he'll go, oh, that's a nice Mercedes. That could probably feed 80,000 people in India, but you need a Mercedes. And I try to tell him, like, just live by example. Don't be an... You know, you're putting them on the defensive instead of just living your life and having people go, wow, that's probably a nice way to live. So he's got this Rants from Boca, and all he does
What about
is...
this picture, too, while you're talking? What's this?
Okay.
What is this?
Okay, so we Skype every Saturday, and he always looks naked because he's like a 10-year-old. He's in the pool, he's out of the pool. He's in the pool, he's out of the pool. So he's never, you know. And then, so we start Skyping. I go, Dad, you look like you're naked. He goes, I'm not naked. And then he stands up to show me. He's got boxer shorts on, and he goes, this is my at-home outfit.
I want to ask about you. Okay?
Finally.
That's about right. We might even get to talk about your movie, but at this point, probably
even
not.
better.
Okay, you just heard the woman before us who said that she didn't, you know, want to stay with her children and she wanted her career and so on. You have just turned 40, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Is the life very different since you turned 40? Do you want to have children?
I would someday maybe like to adopt.
Why not have them?
You know, it's when my friends are pregnant, I'm so Please.
I'm sorry, I have a cough.
Yeah, you have a I'm not getting enough attention cough. Let's let the guest have a time. Let's have the guest have some time to shine.
Okay, moving right along.
I love it when my friends are pregnant. I think it's beautiful. But at the same time, I think, God, you know, everyone around me, especially in LA, they go, don't get your dog from a breeder. Get your dog from a shelter. You're a jerk if you get your dog from a breeder. And I agree, but meanwhile, get your baby from a shelter. Don't get your baby from a breeder. There are babies in shelters. They're called orphanages, and they're all over the world. But people have so much more sympathy for dogs because they don't see what they don't like in themselves in dogs.
Well, what's going to happen to all those dogs in the breeder farms? What's going to happen to them in the pet shops? They have to have a home.
Well, if there's less demand, they won't breed them. But
eventually,
I will tell you this. Yeah. If there were 1 million Springer Spaniels in Africa dying of AIDS and starvation, we'd probably take care of it in about 4 days.
And people feel that way about their animals.
I think that's
I will venture to say. Are you in the middle of a nice romance?
Barbara, I have what I like to call a love partner.
Which is?
You know, he doesn't own me. But we have a nice time every few days. We look forward to seeing each other. I adore him. Yeah. But, you know, I'm not... nobody owns me. I think maybe part of turning 40, which, by the way, when you tell people you're 40, especially in Los Angeles, they act like you're saying you survived cancer.
That's true.
Like, you look so good. Good for you. I like to say that I just had a baby. Because then people go, you look amazing.
That's good. That's a good one.
Perspective.
We could talk about stuff like this all day, but I do want to tell everybody about this film, okay? Yes, it's called Peep World. Give us a little something, and then I want to show them a clip.
4 siblings, Rainn Wilson, myself, Michael C. Hall, and Ben Schwartz, who you'll be hearing from, I'm sure. Yes. We play siblings, and our youngest sibling writes a tell-all book, and it kind of breaks the family apart.
Dark comedy. Check it out.
Half the stuff in that book Nate made up. This is a work of fiction.
I have lost friends over this book, Mother.
People look at me now and they think I'm a bitch. Oh, you agree. I'm out of here.
Ooh, wow. Somebody's excited for Daddy's dinner tonight. He's bringing his new girlfriend, did he tell you?
No. I bet she's really young and pretty.
Okay, so you are a bitch.
I'm a bitch, but, you know, listen, Fred Rogers once said, there isn't anyone you couldn't love once you've heard their story.
Mr. Rogers.
But now we got a shot of your poster. You got some comments about this poster.
Oh my God! So I recently saw the poster. I wish you could get closer. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Anything here?
Those aren't my boobs.
Oh,
they're not? No. And by the way,
whose are they?
Was that a push-up?
Some sort of. Listen, my boobs were out, and there was a lot of boobs showing in that dress, but they were like heavy Jewish boobs.
Did you allow that? Did you put that with your heavy boobs?
No, I looked at the poster and I go, those are weird fake baseball boobs. I have like sexual, heavy, weighted down Jewish boobs.
Well, we love you and your boobs, and you can bring those weighted boobs here anytime, Sarah Silverman. We love you. You can catch her, guess what, in Peep World, in theaters and on demand, March 23rd, encore beginning March 23rd, and members of the audience are getting a copy of her book. We'll be right back. ABC World News year-long series Made in America, a family from Dallas, Texas was challenged to clear out their house and furnish it only with products made in the USA. And it was a lot harder than they bargained for. Please welcome ABC World News weekend anchor David Muir and the Uri family. Welcome, everybody. David, hey guys.
Anna, John, Landon, and Ellis. And what's the baby's name?
Katie.
Katie, well, how appropriate this royal year, yeah? Okay.
And I said, I'm sorry, it's Usry family.
Usry.
Yes. Sorry to mispronounce
That's
your
okay.
name. David, can you explain the challenge for us and why it started and the whole premise for it?
Yeah, it's a very simple question. And in fact, your entire audience here today and everybody watching at home can ask themselves the same question. How much of what's in your home is actually made in America? And do we even ask ourselves this question anymore? I think 1950s, 9 out of 10 items we purchased were all made in America. Wow. Today, more than half of what we buy is foreign made. And the question is, could we create jobs in this country if we just all bought a little more that was made right here in this country? Economists across the board say we could. If we all spent $64 they throw out, which would be about $20 billion over the next year, $64 per American, we could create 200,000 jobs immediately. It wouldn't throw off global trade, but we could make a difference in this country right now if we just flipped the items over in our home and asked ourselves, where was this made?
Well, what was so exciting about watching this is that you said, come into our house, and by the time you looked at everything that was not made in America, your lamps, your dishes, I mean,
there's nothing
take
left.
a look, it was bare. Were you amazed?
Absolutely.
And you had to go out and then find things to replace
your
them.
house was empty.
Empty. Our house was empty. We were shocked. We thought at least 50% of our house would still be remaining there. We come back in to find out that there's a vase with hydrangeas left in our living room.
Everything else was...
And then they never invited me back again.
We said, get back in and furnish it.
That was the big challenge, though, Barbara, is that they got on the phone and they started calling all of these companies across the country. And people answered the phone. The customer service representatives didn't even know how to answer that question when you say, do you have a coffee maker made in America?
Right.
Yeah. So can we go room by room and see what happens?
Yeah, we're going to go room by room. Here, we're going to start in the living room.
Yeah,
so tell us where we... Tell us where we started.
This is the living room before. Okay. This is the Usry family home in Dallas. And this is us sort of moving everything in. This is after. This is the American living room. We were able to replace everything in that room.
Well, it wasn't easy.
It was not easy, Barbara, as you know.
And now, can we go to the kitchen?
Yeah, we can do the kitchen next. This is where they were gasping. All we left was the kitchen sink. You know the saying. Well, that was literal. Yeah. And look, we were able to replace the kitchen. And there was a challenge there because the appliances had to be completely made in America, so they're high-end and expensive. So we're looking for solutions half made in America, perhaps.
Is one of the reasons that people buy from abroad is that it's cheaper?
Yes, and that's the main reason, Barbara. You know, people can find things that are cheaply made and durable, and they're going to make their paycheck last as far as they can, and why wouldn't we? That's what we all need to do.
But that consciousness is so interesting that you thought there would be so much more left than there actually was. Landon and Ellis, can I ask you guys a question? Did you like the big switch? Was it hard?
Sort of hard. I don't think it was that hard, just a little bit.
Did you miss anything that was gone?
A TV.
You missed the TV.
There are no TVs made in America.
There are no TVs made in America?
No televisions in America. It's incredible,
so
yeah.
Everybody's going, oh, you must buy a foreign-made TV.
Must buy light bulbs. We couldn't find any light bulbs in this country.
America?
A baseball, an American baseball for Landon, we couldn't find. And there are economists will tell you, we don't want to be the sock maker for the world. We don't need to make the baseballs, perhaps. But we need to make the higher-end items, the next TV, the one that combines the internet and on-demand, and the items that take a number of people behind the scenes to make them.
What did you miss?
Well, one, the coffee maker. That was pretty painful the next day. So, and then television. But again, we were just so surprised to find that so many brands and products that we buy and brought into the house were iconic American brands. We didn't know that they weren't.
Alice, what did you miss, darling? There's anything
She's whispering American Girl doll. We had to break the news. Can you tell the audience, where's your American Girl doll made?
China.
China. This, your baby doll, is made in China.
American Girl doll.
American Girl doll is made in China. Well,
cover your ears, Katie.
Is this a realistic challenge that families across the states
I think it is, and here's why. And this is the premise. The pool of economists that worked on this series with us said it's just an item or two over the next year. It's not emptying your home like the Usrys did. They were very brave to allow us to do this, but it was really just the notion to think about the lamp or the end table.
So we should, when we go shopping, we should turn over the, I mean, you were surprised yourself, you turned over the lamp, I think, and or whatever it was, and said, oh, I didn't realize that. Most of the, yeah, we don't turn over the dish or whatever and say, you know, where is it and how can I replace it, right?
You can find it. And what did you all think? I mean, the house afterward.
It looks great. The American-made replacements are comfortable, they're durable, and they're beautiful.
That's excellent.
Yes.
You know, it's an excellent challenge, and it's a great awareness for everybody out there. We want to thank you all. Thanks, Lyndon and Ellis. The Made in America Challenge continues on World News with Diane Sawyer on ABC, and we'll be right back. Thank you all.
If you've ever been in a museum and you thought, my kid can draw better than that, and an article in the New York Times looked at a study that proved that people can actually tell a work of art from, one that isn't. And right now, Glenn Lowry, who's the director of New York's Museum of Modern Art, sometimes called MoMA, he's been there for 15 years, he's going to show us what makes something a work of art and if we can tell the difference. Please welcome Glenn Lowry.
Thank you.
MoMA is the second most visited museum, first the Metropolitan and then the Museum of Modern Art. But most of us, like me, don't know, what contemporary art is. So can you give us a quick, show us a good one and a not so good one and see if we know the difference?
Well, first of all, contemporary art's a lot of fun. But I'm going to show you two pictures. One's by Jackson Pollock, the other by Mike Bidlow. They're both artists, but one is famous. One is one of the most important paintings of the 20th century.
Jackson
And Joy,
and
which one?
Priceless.
And almost priceless. In fact, priceless. Joy, come on. Which one is?
A is Jackson Pollock.
How about all of you?
B.
Oh, Joy is right. It's A.
Okay, so why is it better? Why is A better than B?
So here's...
And Joy, you get the picture.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, that'd be nice.
So here's the thing. Mike Bidlow, who made the other painting, actually did it as a homage, as a kind of way of signifying how much he appreciated Jackson Pollock. But it was Pollock who invented this all-over way of painting, of dripping, splattering, and creating these skeins of color. And if you look at the two pictures carefully, what you see in the Pollock is this incredibly dense layering that reflects the energy of his movements. Actually, this painting is about painting. It's about Pollock dancing around the canvas and splattering and painting the canvas.
Just splatter paint everywhere. Why is that art?
But he was a breakthrough. I mean, this is a breakthrough in the culture at this time.
This was a complete breakthrough because up until then, the idea of painting was always about something that it wasn't. To paint a picture of a landscape isn't a landscape, it's a representation of a landscape.
He was drunk a lot of the time, too.
Well, that helps, too, but, he wouldn't have been the first one.
So it was a new way of...
It's a new way of thinking, a new way of visualizing, and what he actually did was to demonstrate that the energy in the act of painting could, in and of itself, be art and be something unbelievably interesting. And the reality is, this painting and many others that Pollock did have influenced now several generations of artists.
Okay, so moving along, we have two paintings. One is a black canvas. There you are, and one is a white, one Ad Reinhardt and Agnes Martin. And, I mean... What's
the question here?
The question is, why is this art? I mean, I could put a piece of black paper and a piece of white paper and nothing would happen.
Well, then you wouldn't be an artist, would you?
No, so why is this art?
So what's interesting about all-over paintings like this, monochromatic is what we call them, they're made out of the same color, is that at first glance they seem very simple and obvious, but actually if you look at them very carefully, they're much more complicated than that. So the Agnes Martin isn't just a white painting. It's actually a white painting in which literally thousands of very fine pencil lines have been scored. And if you were looking at the original, what it would do would create an optical illusion. The paint would almost seem to float off the surface of the painting. And if you think about these a little bit like windows that you can look through and into, and they're meditative. They actually slow you down and make you think. And in a world in which we're saturated by images, being bombarded by them all the time, art that slows you down, that's contemplative, that puts you in a different place, is actually very valuable art. And it's not just valuable in terms of its monetary value, it's valuable in terms of the experience it gives you as a person.
Okay.
Okay. Well, our own Whoopi used to do performance art.
Yes.
Still does.
I still do.
It still does. But one of the examples of performance art that made a lot of people talk and come into the museum, and I was one of them, was a woman named Marina Abramovich. I'm thinking of the part where she had two nude people standing and you had to walk between these two totally nude people. Maybe, I don't know whether it was art, it was certainly interesting. But the other thing she did was she just sat for hours and looked at you and talked the way I'm looking at you and just stared at you, didn't say anything for hours. Why is that, Art?
Is she on medication?
Believe me, this is not easy to do. It's actually quite amazing.
She didn't go to the bathroom either.
No.
She literally sat there for 7 or 8 hours at a time for 77 days. And you'd think, okay, how could that possibly be art? And yet what she did, because she was so vulnerable and in a way so generous, is she invited people essentially to share a moment with her. And some people sat for a few minutes, other people sat for 8 hours. There's actually a group of people who sat for 12 times that now meets on a regular basis as sort of her fan club. And the reality about this is, and this is actually quite serious, is that what she was demonstrating was that we have a hunger in our life to connect with other people. And that she is reaching out in this very charismatic way. Thousands and thousands, actually millions of people connected with her. And the fact that you sat in silence, slowed down, went into yourself, could share a moment with her, she brought out of all of us a kind of humanity that many people didn't even realize was there.
Well, why is it art?
Well, it's art because
it sounds like psychotherapy.
Well, it's part of that too. Art can be psychotherapy.
But the question really should be, what is art? That is the question. Everybody has a different definition of what is art for them. And sometimes people will say, as you were showing us with the black and white, people look at it on the surface and don't look at the textures and how it's done, how it's clean, and so it really is up to you to decide what it is when you go to one of those performance pieces or look at a piece of art, I think.
You're absolutely right.
I want to show you another performance piece and tell me what you think, Sherry. This is it still running? Because I saw this a few with the piano. Is that
no,
still?
it isn't, but it'll be back up in a while.
Okay, so this is a piano, and it's scooped out, and the artist, or whoever the person is, stands in the middle, plays Beethoven backwards, right? And you hear thump, 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 and she moves the piano, or she or he moves the piano around. I don't get it.
Okay, this is one of my favorite pieces, so I'm going to try and convince you.
I do.
It's a great piece. First of all, if you think about playing a piano, you have your back to the audience and the piano never moves, right? So the first thing the artist did was to invert the whole thing. You're actually performing and facing the audience, and then this piano is moving while Beethoven's Ode to Joy, that great, great piece, is played. Listen to it for a moment.
Yes, he wrote that for me.
I would love to see that. I think it's because it would slow me down because I'm like, what the hell is going on? But it would slow me down to look at that. It's very interesting. And so that qualifies it as art?
Well, I think it goes even beyond that, because you heard for a moment the absence of sound when some of the keys that were in the octave that had been cut out weren't there. And what it does is it talks about absence and loss as much as it talks about anything else. Take something that's very familiar and it makes it unfamiliar.
But if he's playing Ode to Joy, Beethoven, but what if he were playing Chopsticks? Would it still be art?
Well, it could be. It could be.
Will you come back and show us some other things?
Of course.
We're just beginning our new course, and maybe one day you'll do your performance art class with us. Yeah? Excellent. In the meantime, members of our audience are going home with their tickets to the Museum of Art Modern Art. We'll be right back.
Art is art is art. We're a painting. Have a great day. Take a little time to enjoy the view.
ABC's new Secret Millionaire will make you feel wonderful. Sunday at 8, 7 Central.